Welcome to Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson. Thank you for joining me in this episode. Now, this episode is a bit of a weird one, really, I suppose, in all ways, shapes, and forms of videos that I've ever made before. But I have noticed two things, really, from my time trawling social media, looking at people's posts on Facebook and Instagram. There's two things that I'm seeing happening. There's a lot of anxiety about when we return to work from COVID lockdown, that the clients are going to suddenly disappear into thin air and they'll all be doing their own hair at home. And this, my friends, is not the truth at all. In fact, our clients are just desperate for us to reopen. Now, there will be some people trawling the internet for free information. Information that you may have paid thousands of pounds to achieve your qualifications as a hairdresser. But the reality is we are in an age of information is cheap. In fact, it's even cheaper than that. It's free. So what we need to remember now is we don't pay anymore for information. For example, it took me 5 minutes of Googling, in fact, even less than that, to find Michel Roux Jr., one of the most well thought after chefs on the entire planet, teaching me to make a soufflé de Suisse. Soufflé de Suisse.
Michel has retained its 2 Michelin stars for almost 30 years and inspired a generation.
Out of all the iconic dishes that Le Gavroche has over the last 50 years, this one stands out, the soufflé suissesse. So the soufflé suissesse is a twice cooked soufflé. I cook the roux, which is the base of the soufflé, which is butter, flour, and we add some milk. The cream has come to the boil, so now I'm just going to add a bit of cheese to it. So I've got some Gruyere here.
Basically, it's a soufflé with Swiss cheese in it. He is there on YouTube teaching me how to make it myself. If I make it really well, I don't need to try Michel's version of it, or do I? Do I want to try Michel's version of the soufflé de Suisse and see if it's better than what I have created? Yes, of course I do. Of course I want to know if I can match the professionals. And this is the same for people doing their hair at home. People are going to try and do their hair at home because of the environment, because of the way that things have turned out because of COVID-19. But at the end of the day, we can rest assured that our clients that just really don't want to do their hair at home, or will soon get bored of the idea of washing their hair over their bath or having their root tint cascade down their bodies whilst they're showering, they will want to come back to the salons. Now, the reality is that anybody out there can learn to do anything.
Easy job you can do at home. The pads for this car are about 30 bucks, and you can save a lot of money if you do it yourself. So first step here on this car, this is a Volkswagen Rabbit. We're gonna take the slide pins out. That's what the caliper rides on. So in this one, it's an Allen key. So you grab your socket and your ratchet, pull those out the back. Sometimes they get kind of rusty, so you might need to put a little bit more effort into it than I am. So we're going to pull these guys out and make sure they're clear. So pulls it right off like this. So on this car, you've got a little hanger here. So pop that off, and then you're going to want to have a piece of wire handy, just like this one. Coat hanger works great. So you can wrap that up, hang it up out of the way. You don't want to have your brake caliper hanging by this line. So here we've got the old brake pads. They're rusty and it wears down, and when it wears all the way down, you start to get a squeal even when you're not on full brakes. So what we've got to replace these are brand new pads. You've got cleaner, better material, you've got a nice rust-free surface on it, and it'll just be better for braking in general.
Now, that wonderful young man has just saved me a fortune. There's a few things that I might need that I probably don't have in the cupboard, but I would probably go as far as to say if I bought them once, it would probably negate the cost of doing it again, and next time I would be in a profit, which is probably not dissimilar to someone doing their own hair. They've still got to buy the hair products and find the right tools and all those kind of things to get the job done themselves. And obviously the dexterity of doing your own hair yourself is actually very, very difficult. As we saw from Ella Bangs the other day when she did her hair on my video and we watched her amazing dexterity. Now, I appreciate that some professional hairdressers don't appreciate what Ella gets up to in terms of showing the world how to do their hair themselves. And it's not to say that I advocate it in any way, shape or form, but what we have to remember, guys, is that by nature, you included, you will find ways to save money. Number one, when times are lean, like they are at the moment. And number two, you will also find ways of taking practical skills that you would outsource to somebody else, and you will bring them into your home. For instance, doing your hair. Now, I appreciate you're instantly going to be looking at your bottom line, the amount of money you earn in a month, and seeing a dent in it because your client's posted a picture on Instagram with her roots refreshed. And she probably did them herself. But how long will that really go on? How long will your clients really want to keep doing their hair? Now, the reality is that some of them will want to continue to do their hair. And that's just one of those things. It's an insidious thing. When someone starts to do something, there will always be a percentage of people who want to continue to do that themselves. But it's probably longer and more challenging, and so therefore those people can run out of energy for it because they don't have the time. Alternatively, there are those very small percentage of people who will never get back. However, I don't see this as a problem specifically. I just see this as an opportunity to find new clients. There are always new clients. Doesn't matter where you live or who your clientele is. There is always new people wanting their hair done. It's just up to you to reach them. It's okay for us to sit back on our laurels and say, I have a very, very strong clientele that I feel like is dwindling away because of COVID-19, and sitting at home and then going onto YouTube and watching people like Ellie do their own hair. And I realized in my video from the other day that I called Ellie Ella every single time. And in fact, I did it just a second ago in the beginning of this video. So for any strange reason that Ellie is watching this, and I do apologize for the mistake with your name. But in reality, what we need to remember, guys, is that clients come and clients go. I have gained an enormous amount of clients in the last year. I haven't done hardly any hair. But because I have been extremely helpful in guiding people to the right places, so I don't have to deal with such big hair disasters when they actually come back to the salon, because this is another thing, guys. If they just pick random information out of the middle of nowhere, it may not be relative to their own hair. You can guide your clients the best. You can show them what they need the best. And I have helped many of my clients, personal clients, to do their hair at home in these unusual times, and I've helped many other people who have reached out. Obviously, I can only give so much information to somebody I don't actually know, but I try my best, and obviously I only have so much time to give it. But the reality is, we need to focus hard on not what we give away, but how we implement it. The information that you can get off the internet now, as we've just seen, is absolutely mind-blowing in terms of volume. You can just about learn to do anything you like for absolutely nothing. But where it becomes difficult is implementation. How do I take the skills that I have learnt for free and apply them to reality? There are going to be a lot of people who do not want to take that risk on their own hair. There are going to be a lot of people who do not want to dismantle their brakes or potentially ruin loads of cheese and half a dozen eggs making Michel Roux Jr.'s soufflé de Suisse. At the end of the day, I know on these Facebook groups I've seen these non-hairdressers come on and be attacked for asking questions about how they get their hair done. Look, there are some people out there that just can't get their hair done because they can't afford it. They were maybe in a position previously where they couldn't afford it, but there's lots of people in a position now where they definitely can't afford it. So remember, you will always, always, always be in debt to somebody if you're kind to them and give them useful information than you will if you're mean to them and give them a hard time because they are having a hard time. I hope you found this useful, guys. Let's just be nice to each other. Help those people who are in need right now, like they might help you one day pay your bills as your regular customer. Until next time, have a good week.